The film begins with a girl named Cheryl, who is shown climbing a huge mountain in a barren and inhospitable area. She had been wandering there for many days, but she could not find any way to climb down. The extreme heat made her feel dizzy, and sometimes she felt like jumping off the mountain to end her suffering. One of her legs was injured and she could barely walk. The situation became even worse when one of her shoes fell down from the cliff. In anger and frustration, she threw away the other shoe as well, and in this way she was left barefoot on that dangerous land. But the situation was not as it seemed. After this, the story goes back a few weeks to the time when Cheryl started this journey. She used to be a balanced girl earlier, but when her parents fell ill and she could not afford their treatment, her life began to fall apart. She became mentally very disturbed and adopted bad habits, such as taking drugs and drinking excessive alcohol. She fell so low that she began forming relationships with strangers. Amid all this, she met a man whom she liked and ended up marrying him. But it was not surprising that due to her self-destructive habits, this marriage did not last long. After the divorce, Cheryl was left alone and completely heartbroken. She kept crying constantly and slipped into deep depression, unable to understand how to move forward. She knew that if things continued like this, she would never be able to rebuild her family and would remain alone forever. In the middle of this chaos, Cheryl discovered that she was pregnant, but the biggest question was whose child it was. She had been with so many people that she herself did not know. She was not ready to become a mother, so she decided to have an abortion. One of her close friends, who always guided her on the right path, could no longer bear to see Cheryl drowned in depression and anxiety, so she advised Cheryl to go on a solo journey so that she could clear her mind. Her friend told her about a remote mountainous area that was suitable for hiking and camping, where she would have to travel alone for a week. Perhaps by going there, she would realize how valuable her life really was. Although Cheryl had no experience with trails or camping, she still agreed to go after listening to her friend. She packed her climbing equipment and essential supplies and set out toward nature. She was completely unaware of the dangers that awaited her ahead, and those dangers were such that they could even take her life. Therefore, without wasting any time, we begin this long journey along with Cheryl. Eventually, after reaching the desolate mountainous region, she began her trek. The area was full of strange rocky formations that she had to climb. Cheryl was carrying a very heavy backpack filled with essential items, which slowed her down, but she knew that everything inside was necessary for survival. After several hours of travel, she became completely exhausted and began to think that coming here might have been a mistake. Turning back was no longer possible because it was getting dark. Soaked in sweat, she decided to stop and set up camp. After resting inside her tent, she thought about heating something to eat. She always carried a small notebook in which she wrote down every experience she went through. That night as well, she tried to write about every moment of her struggle in nature. When she took out her things inside the tent to heat the food, she realized that although she had brought the stove, she had forgotten the gas cylinder needed to light it. Instead of that, she had mistakenly brought something else. This meant that she could not cook her food. Frustrated by her mistake, Cheryl became angry at herself. It was her first mountain climb, and she had already made several mistakes right at the beginning. If things continued like this, she might not survive for long. But since she had already started the journey, she had no option other than to complete it. Night had fallen, and she was completely alone in that desolate wilderness. The temperature dropped drastically, but fortunately, she had brought extra clothes, which she wore before curling up inside the tent to sleep. She was scared, but somehow managed to calm herself down. The days passed slowly in the dry land, and one morning, Cheryl continued her journey forward. Exhausted and tired, she ate very little every day and carefully rationed her supplies because the remaining food was her only support. She had already decided how much she would eat each day so that her limited rations would last longer. If the food ran out, she would have to depend on natural resources, which tasted terrible and were barely edible. Her days passed as she kept walking continuously, and she began to feel that she would never reach her destination. The truth was that she had not even properly reached the mountainous region yet. One day, while walking along a dusty road, she saw an old man driving a tractor. Feeling relieved, she ran toward him and told him that she needed help. It was getting dark, and she was very frightened. The old man kept looking at her for a few seconds, then said that he was finishing his work and that she could wait in his vehicle. Cheryl had no other option, so she sat in the vehicle and began to wait. As night fell, she noticed a gun kept inside the vehicle and began to feel uneasy. After some time, the old man returned and sat inside the vehicle and started asking her questions. Cheryl told him that she was a tourist who had lost her way and needed help to spend the night. Out of fear, she lied and and said that her husband was also traveling with her and would arrive soon. The old man simply nodded his head and took her to his home. After going inside, Cheryl was surprised when she saw that he lived with his wife. Seeing that woman made Cheryl feel a little safe and comfortable. The couple quickly prepared dinner and invited Cheryl to eat with them. After eating almost nothing for many days, she could not stop herself from enjoying the delicious, home-cooked food and ate every bite with great eagerness. That night, she stayed at their house and finally got some rest. The next morning, the kind old man dropped her at the place from where she could continue her journey. Cheryl realized that her assumptions about him had been wrong. That couple showed her true humanity and kindness. However, as she continued moving forward, the fear of getting lost again kept troubling her. The harsh sunlight was unbearable, and the heavy backpack made the situation even worse. After walking for some time, she set up her tent and cooked hot food for herself. This time she had the correct equipment, which she had received from that old man. After eating properly cooked food after so many days, she felt satisfied. After eating and resting, she started her journey again. Now she could begin to see the outline of the mountainous region toward which she was heading. While continuing the climb, she suddenly encountered a dangerous creature, a poisonous snake found in that forest. Terrified, Cheryl screamed and stepped back in panic. She quickly set up her tent again, but the image of the snake kept haunting her. She kept imagining that the snake was crawling toward her and could attack at any moment. Then strange noises began coming from around her tent. In the darkness, she could hear the movement of wild animals and the sounds of them roaming around. Poor Cheryl was extremely frightened, as it was her first time in such a place. She felt that every creature outside wanted to attack her. Fortunately, she had a lantern with which she managed to scare away small animals. Despite being frightened, Cheryl somehow managed to spend the night in her camp. The next morning, she set off again with her heavy backpack and an aching body, but her mind felt relieved. Eventually, she reached the mountainous region and saw a man bathing in the river below. Out of curiosity, she went down to talk to him. The man introduced himself as Greg and said that he was also a solo hiker exploring these rocky regions. Greg was impressed that despite being a woman, Cheryl had taken on this challenge alone, which showed her tremendous courage. He told her about a hidden camping spot higher up in the mountains and suggested that they meet there later, where it would be more fun together. Hearing this made Cheryl feel relieved. She was not the only traveler in that desolate nature. They both went their separate ways and planned to meet again at the place Greg had mentioned. While climbing the difficult mountains, Cheryl began to feel something new. She had started enjoying this adventure. After climbing continuously for several hours, she reached the place Greg had told her about. The place was lively, with travelers and hikers from all over the world. Soon she found Greg there, surrounded by friends who warmly introduced themselves to her. Cheryl talked with them for a long time and shared stories of her journey and the strange incidents she had experienced so far. There was a time when she had wanted to return home frightened and hopeless from that dry land, but now everything felt different. The journey made her feel alive again and gave her the peace she had not felt for years. At the same campsite, Cheryl received a package sent by her best friend. The box contained essential supplies for the rest of her journey. While unpacking the items, she found a letter from her ex-husband. He had learned about her solo journey and wanted to congratulate her on her courage. However, his words made her heart feel heavy. Deep inside, she still wished that he were with her, and she knew that it was her own mistakes that had pushed him away, which made her feel sad from within. Lost in these thoughts, she met an elderly man named Eddie, who was the guardian of that mountainous region. He noticed Cheryl's large and heavily packed backpack and asked why she was carrying so much luggage alone. He gently explained that she did not need to carry everything, only the essential items were enough. He helped her open the backpack and removed unnecessary items to lighten the load. Then he looked at her shoes and found that their laces were tied too tightly. He explained that the tighter the laces were tied, the more the feet would swell and develop blisters. He advised her to wear sandals or open shoes to allow air circulation and avoid injuries. Eddie also advised her to buy new hiking shoes. After listening carefully and taking some rest, Cheryl felt grateful for his help. She contacted her friend and asked her to send new shoes as soon as possible. Until then, she had to manage with whatever she had. Before leaving, Greg explained two possible routes ahead. One route was covered with snow, and the other passed through a dry, rocky desert. He suggested that she should choose the rocky path. The snow-covered route was extremely dangerous, but Cheryl's adventurous spirit was strong. Despite Greg's warning, she chose the snowy route. She put on the necessary gear for the snow and started walking with enthusiasm and determination. It seemed that she was enjoying the danger more than the safety. Her long and exhausting journey continued, and many days passed. After crossing the snowy region, Cheryl sat on a rock to rest and looked at her swollen and injured feet. One of her feet was badly wounded and throbbing with pain. When she tried to take off her shoe, it slipped from her hand and fell into the gorge below, disappearing into the vast white snow beneath. Cheryl could not jump into the gorge to retrieve the shoe, so in anger and frustration, she threw away the other shoe as well. From this point, her real troubles were about to begin. Her journey became even more difficult because now every step caused pain. Fortunately, Eddie had given her a pair of small sandals, and wearing them, she continued moving forward. After walking for several hours, she reached the next station, where she could collect her package and rest for a while. She quickly checked the package sent by her friend. Inside, it was a new pair of shoes, and she sat down and had a small snack to regain her strength. But still, half of the journey remained. Cheryl decided to stay for one night at a nearby farm. While resting there, her mind drifted back to painful moments from the past. Through her memories, we learn that Cheryl's father was a very cruel man. He treated his family badly, especially his wife, whom he often abused. One day, unable to endure it any longer, Cheryl's mother ran away with her 2 children, hoping to start a better life somewhere else. But soon after, a tragic event occurred. Cheryl's mother was diagnosed with cancer. Her condition deteriorated rapidly, and eventually she passed away. From that moment on, Cheryl's life completely fell apart. Instead of rebuilding her life by staying with her brother, she chose the wrong path, which led her into addiction and temporary relationships. Even after marriage, she could not remain faithful to her husband. Eventually, he caught her with other men, and that was the end. She filed for divorce, and everything shattered. All of this was Cheryl's fault, and she knew it deep inside. She had ruined her own life, a life that many people could only dream of. And now, after all those mistakes, she was crossing harsh desert regions alone, once again trying to find the meaning of life. Returning to the present, Cheryl continued moving forward with a faint smile on her face. It was clear that she was getting closer to her destination. After crossing the rocky terrain, success seemed near, but in the scorching desert, she realized that her water had run out. Without water, she could die before reaching a safe place. Still, she kept moving forward, and with every step, her body grew weaker when she suddenly spotted a large iron tank in the distance. She ran toward it and anxiously looked inside, but it was empty. Her strength was rapidly fading, and carrying the heavy backpack felt impossible. Just when it seemed like she would collapse, she noticed a small puddle of water ahead. She reached it with joy, but discovered that the water was dirty and not fit for drinking. However, Cheryl had learned many things during her journey. She now knew ways to survive. She filled the dirty water into 2 containers and added purification tablets to them. Cheryl prepared drinking water when suddenly she saw 2 hunters in the distance. They lived in that area and survived by hunting wild animals. They came up to her and asked her to share water, but Cheryl refused. There was not enough clean water for everyone. There was something about those hunters that did not feel right to her. Their eyes had a predatory look that made her uncomfortable. Feeling unsafe, she immediately decided to leave that place. She picked up her backpack and chose another route. After some time, both hunters also left, unaware that Cheryl was hiding in nearby bushes. Once they were gone, she returned and collected the remaining clean water. She planned to spend the night there, but suddenly one of the hunters came back. He asked if she was not leaving, but Cheryl did not respond. She silently packed her belongings and walked away. Fear began to haunt her that those men might follow her and harm her, but she refused to give up. After walking for many hours, she reached a small town. While passing through the streets, she met a man named Jonathan. He was looking for a companion to go to a party with him. To get some relief from exhaustion, Cheryl agreed to go with him. That night, they grew close and stayed together. The next morning, Cheryl once again set off toward the wilderness, heading into rain-soaked rainforests. In the dense forest, she met a group of travelers. They welcomed her, shared food, and spent the night talking together. Cheryl, who wrote poetry, recited some of her poems to them, and they listened with admiration. Wherever she went, she made new friends and touched people's hearts. The next morning, while moving forward through the forest, she saw a llama carrying several bags. Nearby, an elderly woman appeared with her young son. Out of curiosity, the woman asked what she was doing there. Cheryl explained that she was a traveler exploring the area. The boy asked her many questions about her family and about her mother. Cheryl honestly told him that her mother had died due to illness, and that she missed her very much. Saddened by her story, the boy said a short prayer and recited a poem that touched Cheryl's heart. The poem said that souls never truly die. They return to nature and one day reunite with their loved ones. Hearing this, Cheryl became very emotional. After talking for a while, the woman and her son left, and Cheryl continued toward her final destination. Along the way, memories of her mother filled her mind. She realized how many mistakes she had made and how careless and selfish she had been. She could have stayed with her mother, taken care of her, and lived a good life, but instead she ruined everything, losing even her family and her brother. Now more than 100 days had passed since her journey began. She never imagined that she could come this far. Before this, she had no experience with trails or camping, but through struggle and pain, she learned everything. Finally, she reached the point where the forest trails and mountain paths came to an end. In front of her was a huge bridge connecting two countries. On the other side of that bridge was a city where her home was. Cheryl finally reached the bridge, which was the final mark of her journey. Standing there, she looked toward the horizon and remembered when this journey was just a way to escape. At the beginning, she did not believe that she would survive even one day, but she did not give up. Throughout the journey, she realized that most of her suffering was the result of her own decisions. She was no longer the broken woman who had set out on this journey. Strong and at peace, she took a deep breath. Standing on the bridge, she understood that she could not change the past. She could only move forward. And with this, the film comes to an end.